broken. Two damaged souls. 17-year-old Kakashi and a 3-year-old Naruto find a way to heal each other and become a family. Listen along as they overcome their pain and face a new life full of promise and hope. How will this change Naruto and Kakashi? Watch the boy grow to be a strong shinobi and face the world that had turned against them. Some action and eventual romance. The link to the fanfic will be in the description. Let's get into it. Roll the intro. Before we get into the story, I wanted to mention that a lot of people have been complaining that I haven't been finishing my stories. This is a story that I definitely want to finish. It is very well written and I like the whole concept. So if you enjoyed the video, like it and comment anything. It really helps the algorithm and it helps me finish series. Thank you, and let's get into the story. Chapter 1. Son of White Fang. Broken. Destroyed or badly hurt by grief or misfortune. No longer in working condition. Not whole. Lacking order or harmony. Kakashi Hatake was a broken man. Very few people realize the truth. He smiled when he was supposed to. He laughed at the right times like he should. He acted like a normal person. But those who knew him best saw the spark missing from his soul. When he went to his lonesome home, the real mask came off. He would sit in the meditation for hours, trying to find purpose in his existence. He just felt so numb and isolated all the time. All of the precious people he had ever cared for were dead. Some of the deaths were accidental or just fate. Some were caused by him, either directly or indirectly. His mother, father, sensei, and teammates were all gone, leaving only him to wander through life, wondering why he was chosen to outlive them. He was already an elite jonin, an Onbu captain. Here he found himself at only 17 years old and questioning why he should go on. He would never consider suicide as a means out because of his father, but he thought all the time about losing a battle during one of his missions. Next one, he told himself. That night as he went to bed. Maybe if I'm lucky, I'll die on my next mission. He knew without a doubt that he was a danger to everyone around him. His duties as an Onbu were the only thing keeping him together. Killing others made the pain go away for a while. It was only a matter of time when that would be gone as well. He was starting to mess up. He had trouble sleeping and keeping his mind focused. He could barely relate to anyone anymore. He drank hard when he was off duty. He drifted off to sleep with thoughts of being in a peril for some unknown reason. A common occurrence for him. Several hours later, he found himself awake, much earlier than he intended to be, staring at the ceiling. He just had yet another nightmare. This one was about not being able to prevent his father from killing himself. He kept seeing the tanto slide into his stomach and the blood pooling around his body. He had loved his father dearly. He was everything he wanted to be. When he was gone, Kakashi's world was torn apart. Although it was only 2 in the morning, he got up and dressed in the dark. The 4 walls of his tiny apartment seemed to close in on him, making him feel suffocated. He needed to get out. Throwing on his sandals, he jumped out the window and began to aimlessly wander around Konohagakure as silent as a cat. The clouds hiding the moon made the night as black as his mood. The tranquil serenity of the slumbering village was broken by the crisp sound of the autumn leaves dancing along the cobblestone paths in the light breeze. He desperately wished he could find peace in the solitude, but could not, no matter how hard he tried. His former teammate Obito appeared next to him. Why did you have to kill her, Kakashi? I loved Rin. You should have protected her with your life. You failed me, Kakashi, said the ghostly voice in his head. Just like you failed everyone else. I'm sorry, Obito. I'm sorry, Rin, he murmured softly to himself. It should have been me. He continued his stroll towards the memorial stone when the sound of a tiny whimper broke his dark thoughts. Wondering what could be making that noise, he followed it to a row of hedges. Carefully pulling back the bare branches, he spotted the source of the moans. What he had discovered surprised him immensely. A small child lay curled up on the ground asleep. He was shivering so hard that Kakashi knew he had to do something immediately. He bent over, pulled up the branches wider, and tried to pick up the small form. The kid, sensing the ninja, instantly awoke and backpedaled away with a little frightened cry. A brilliant moonbeam broke through the clouds, shining down on them and bringing the child's features into stark relief. Kakashi noted the blonde hair and whisker marks on the boy's panicked face. 3 years had passed since he had seen a face like this one. The face of his beloved sensei and fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze. A pang of deep sadness hit him hard. The look of stark terror in the boy's eyes pulled him away from his own depressing thoughts. Kakashi tried to reassure the boy. In a low, comforting tone, he said, "Shh. It's gonna be okay. I won't hurt you, Naruto. I want to help." He put his hand out to the boy and tried to get him to come out. Naruto let out a small whimper and curled into a tight ball, covering his ears with his hands and tucking his elbows to his sides. It was a pose of someone who knew how to defend himself from major injury to the eyes, ears, and vital organs. A pose of someone who had been beaten too many times. It struck Kakashi hard. This was the legacy of the Yandane, the hero of Konoha. What was he doing outside on such a cold night, sleeping in a bush? He stayed close to the child, speaking to him in a low, soothing voice for a long time, until Naruto would finally allow himself to be extracted. Kakashi drew him into his arms and bore him away. As they passed under the street lamps, Kakashi couldn't help but note the sallow skin and pinched malnourished features. He weighed next to nothing in his arms. He was also way too small to be 3 years old. He looked like he hadn't bathed in a very long time, and there were several bald patches on his head. The terrible odor coming from Naruto made his eyes water, but he said nothing as he carried the boy to the orphanage. He tried to get Naruto to talk, but he would not respond. His eyes had such a dead look in them. Kakashi knew that look well. He saw it in the mirror every day. That look changed completely as they approached the doors of the orphanage. Naruto began to struggle and cry as they got nearer. He shook his head and shivered. Kakashi held him firmly, rubbed his back, then beat on the door until someone answered. A middle-aged woman wearing an expensive silky robe and rubbing her eyes opened the door. "Who is it? What do you want at this time of night?" she asked grumpily. Kakashi turned his boy so that the boy was visible to her. "I think you might have misplaced someone," he said to her. "It is a little late for him to be outside." The woman's eyes narrowed as she noticed the tiny boy. With a look of barely contained disgust, she snapped, "Just put him down. He's always wandering away." Kakashi put the trembling boy down in regret and cringed when the woman grabbed his little arm and dragged him into the building. "I'll take care of him from here," she snarled, then slammed the door in his surprised face. Kakashi stood there in shock for a moment, then jerked when he heard the sound of a smack and a pained cry from the boy. He shunted into the building to find the woman, with her fist hovering over the cowering child. He seized her and threw her across the room. "How dare you! "He's just a baby," he roared. Snatching Naruto up, he stormed away from the orphanage in a fit of rage. Naruto looked at his furious face and began to sob in fright. Kakashi stopped and breathed deep to calm himself. He smiled through his mask, crinkling his eyes. "I'm sorry, little one. I didn't mean to scare you." He hugged the sobbing boy tight to his chest, caressed his head, and said, "Don't worry. The worst is now over. I'll never let anyone hurt you ever again, Naruto. I will protect you with everything I am. I promise you." The boy stared at him with mistrust before sticking his thumb in his mouth. His eyes became heavier and heavier as he fought to stay awake. Kakashi said quietly to Naruto, "Maybe now we can both breathe again, pup." The boy fell fast asleep in the copy nin's arm as he walked back to his apartment. The previous dark thoughts of his fallen comrades were held at bay for the first time in a very long time. Kakashi's mind was filled instead of images of the blonde-haired, blue-eyed chibi he vowed to protect. This time, I will not fail. I cannot fail. He tried to set the slumbering child down, but he clung harder. Kakashi was able to lie down on the bed with the child in his chest. He fell into a dreamless sleep, waking 4 times to calm the howling child. Yes, he knew all about nightmares. Chapter 2: Puke and the Hokage. Yes, he knew all about nightmares. The sun was barely peeking over the horizon when a bang awoke Kakashi. Heart pounding, he leapt out of bed in battle mode with a kunai in each hand. He quickly scanned every inch of the room, searching for enemies, before he realized that he was in his home. Still unable to shake the feeling that something was amiss, he crept out of the room to hunt for intruders. There was nothing in the living room. Suddenly, remembering the events from last night, he ran back into his bedroom. The boy was not there. He dropped to his knees and looked under the bed, and then the closet. He was not there. He wasn't in the bathroom either. With only one place to look, he went to the kitchen. The boy was behind the counter, digging through the trash that was strewn around the floor. He was about to put something in his mouth. "No!" Kakashi shouted in disgust before he could stop himself. "Drop that now! That's very bad!" Naruto's whole body jerked in surprise before he scuttled away to the corner of the room with his hand raised above him. Big fat tears rolled down his hollow cheeks, leaving white streaks on his dirty face. I'm not about to make crying noises again. He cried, okay? Angry at himself for scaring the boy when he yelled, he sighed. "I'm not gonna hit you. Calm down." Naruto looked down at the floor. He cried more. I'm not making crying noises. Kakashi was torn between surprises that the kid had finally spoken. Oh, never mind. That was weird Japanese. He wasn't crying, okay? Surprised that the kid had finally spoken in confusion at what he was saying. So never mind, he was still crying. He finally thought he figured out what the chibi was trying to say. He said gently, "You're not bad, Naruto, but eating trash will make you sick. Let's get you a bath and then something good to eat, okay?" I'm not making Naruto noises. He's a child. And never mind. He solemnly nodded, then allowed himself to be led to the bathroom. Kakashi ran the bathwater, then began to remove the clothes in disgust. When he took off his shorts, he was surprised to see an old cloth diaper. The kid had it on for a while, he could tell. He started to peel it off him, but Naruto began to cry in pain. He stilled his movements and placed both hands gently on his shoulder. He tried to not let the way the child flinched affect him personally, but it still bothered him a bit. Kakashi looked at him in the eyes and said, "Naruto, I have to take off your diaper. It might hurt a little, but we have to do it. I'm sorry, okay? But I promise I won't hurt you again." His body stiffened and he lowered his head, but he didn't try to squirm away. Kakashi peeled the diaper off to see the whole groin area in flames from a massive diaper rash. The backside was even worse. He put the crying boy into the tub and gently washed the grime away. He had to refill the tub again due to all the dirt, but eventually he got the boy all clean. He lifted him out of the tub, dried him off, wrapped him in a towel, then took him into the kitchen. Setting him on a chair, he said, "Now you just wait here and I'll make you something good to eat, okay?" Kakashi was about to walk into the kitchen when he glanced back at Naruto. He had a serious expression on his face that looked just like Minato. Memories of their past flashed through his mind. His heart began to race and he felt dizzy. "Oh no, not now," he thought as his hands became numb and his chest hurt. He stiffly walked into the kitchen and slowly slid down the counter until it was resting on the floor. With long, slow breaths, he tried to control his harsh breathing. Knowing that this could take a while, he shakily bit his thumb and summoned some of his ninkin. He explained the boy's situation with them and asked for their help. To Urushi, he said, "Watch the boy for me. Don't get too close though unless he wants you to. He gets scared really easily." He pointed to Shiba and Akino. "Go find the boy something to wear and a diaper." They nodded their heads and peeked around the corner to take a look at the little chibi, then ran out the doggy door to complete their mission. To Uhei, he said, "Go set up a meeting with the Hokage for me." Kakashi leaned his head against the counter and slowly began to count until his heartbeat returned to normal. Pakun stiffened, then sat down next to him. After 10 minutes, he asked, "Another panic attack, huh?" Kakashi just looked away from him and rose to stand. He said in a toneless, "I don't want to talk about it" kind of voice. "I need to make the kid some food." He moved to the refrigerator and removed some items. He started cooking while Pakun watched in silence for some time. As the minutes stretched on, Pakun finally spoke. "So, what are you planning to do with the Jinchuriki pup?" Kakashi didn't stop cooking while he thought of an appropriate response. Finally, he shrugged his shoulders and replied, "Honestly, I have no clue. I just couldn't leave him there. I am all that he has." Minato would have been horrified to see what has become of his child. "I have to do this for him." Pakun put his paw on Kakashi's leg and said, "You're in no shape to take care of a pup, especially one with problems of his own." "Nevertheless," he said as he picked up the plates of food, "it will be done." He walked over to Naruto, who was staring suspiciously at Urushi, and said, "Are you hungry, little man?" He set the plate of food in front of the child and sat down next to him. "That's Urushi, and this is Pakun," he said, pointing to each respective dog. "They're ninja hounds, and they will not hurt you. They might be watching over you occasionally." Naruto looked at each dog before glancing at his plate. His eyes widened at the sight of all the food. His stomach growled loudly. It was a traditional breakfast consisting of steamed rice, miso soup, broiled fish, tamagoyaki, which is rolled omelet, tsukemono pickles, nori, which is dried seaweed, and natto, which is fermented soybeans. I definitely butchered the names. He hesitantly reached out his hand towards it while looking at Kakashi. Seeing that he would not stop him, the blonde grabbed some tamagoyaki, shoved it in his mouth, and began to chew furiously, while watching the copynin from the corner of his eyes. Kakashi observed the kid practically inhale the rest of the food. A few seconds later, Naruto's face turned green. What's your guys' favorite food? I'm curious. I want to know if a lot of people have like the same basic favorite food, or if there's going to be a lot of variety. Let me know in the comment section. And if someone doesn't have the same response as you can argue and stuff, which is going to be fun to read for me. Kakashi knew what was about to happen a second before it did. "Oh crap," he said to himself as Naruto turned his head and emptied his stomach contents all over him. one of the most dangerous and powerful ninja the village of Konohagakure had ever produced, sat in his chair with puke running down his chest and pulling in his lap. Its cause, a tiny 3-year-old boy sitting next to him, weeping. He looked... I don't know what that word is. Let's learn this together. So it's pronounced Riley, and it means mocking, or I already forgot the definition, leave me alone. He looked wryly at himself and shook his head. Well, I guess I should have known better, huh? Little man, you probably need something that is a lot easier to digest and probably smaller amounts. I need a shower anyways. Let's get cleaned up. Then I'll make you some okayo. He took the towel that was wrapped around the boy and threw it on top of the vomit. Together they went to the bathroom and Kakashi turned on the shower. He took off his clothes with distaste and stepped into the shower. As the silver-haired man reached out for him, Naruto asked, "Gen?" "Yes, pup, again." "You made quite a mess on yourself," he said, pointing to the boy's chest. He brought him into the shower and cleaned him up. It soon became clear that Naruto had never been in a shower before. He held out his tiny hands and tried to catch the water as it fell. For one brief moment, Naruto turned his head up and flashed Kakashi a brief smile. How can a little smile make me feel so good? He wondered to himself. A loud scratch came from the door as they got out of the shower and dried off. Kakashi opened the door to find his ninkin with clothes and a bag in their mouth. Kakashi dug through the bag to find diapers and diaper rash ointment. To Akino, he asked, "Where'd you find this?" The tan sunglass wearing dog responded, "At the park. Some lady set the bag down and forgot it." He sat near Naruto and let the boy softly pet him. Shiba found a pair of black shorts and white shirt. They were a little big, but it was good enough for now. Kakashi dressed Naruto, then himself. "Alright guys," he said to the ninkin. "Thanks for your help. Akino, you can return this to the owner, then you all can go for now." They went back to the kitchen. Kakashi set the boy on the counter, started the rice cooker for the okayo, and cleaned the mess off the floor. The chibi clear blue eyes watched the whole thing in silence. Well, he's definitely not much of a talker, thought the nin. The fact that the kid barely seemed to understand him made him feel like talking while he cooked. Naruto wouldn't judge him or try to give him stupid, useless advice like his friends had. He hesitantly began to speak, his voice raw with emotion. "I'm so tired of hiding from everyone in my past, because they bring up the memories of what was changed my life forever. I've been shutting them up for so long, experiencing anxiety and panic attacks whenever I'm faced with someone or something that reminds me of what happened. I'm tired of living like this." Naruto watched him the whole time with a somber expression that matched Kakashi's tone. "I see myself in you. You have been through a lot, huh? I bet you hate being scared all the time. We need to stick together, you and me. I want to help you learn how to trust again, and then perhaps you can teach me how to love for a second time. If we're lucky, maybe our nightmares will go away for good." Kakashi wiped a tear from his eye and smiled. A little embarrassed. Just ignore me, kid. I'm not usually such a weakling. Your food is done now. You can try to eat again. He made child noises and then said, "Yup, I'm not making child noises either." "Alright, but this time I'm gonna feed you." Kakashi fed him the rice porridge very slowly so that he could keep it down this time. The boy had a funny look on his face the whole time. He clearly didn't know what to make of the man that was being so kind to him. He looked at him without hate in his eyes. He talked to him without a mean undertone. The man actually wanted to hear him talk. It scared him. It was confusing. "Naruto, we have to leave soon. We have some errands to run and we have to see the Hokage. We have to get you some clothes and more food for us." He set the plate in the kitchen, then pulled up his mask and put it on his sandals. "Ready to go?" He turned to pick up the chibi. He wasn't there. "Naruto, where are you? We don't have time to fool around. Kakashi searched everywhere until he finally found him in the closet, curled into a tight ball under a jacket and whimpering. "Come on out. I won't let anyone hurt you," he said in a soothing voice. No, he said, trembling under the coat. "I'm not sure what that sound is, so I'm not gonna make it." "It's not that bad. I told you I would keep you safe," he said. He talked to the boy for quite some time, with no success, before getting a little frustrated. "Come on, let's go." He tried to gently pull the boy out, but he got bit for his efforts. Hissing in pain and swallowing a curse, he counted to 10 and tried again. "I tell you what, you can hide inside the jacket while I carry you. How does that sound? That way no one can see you." Kakashi waited until the boy reluctantly nodded, then leaned into the closet and pulled Naruto out. He wrapped the coat around the boy and left the apartment. Kakashi figured that taking to the rooftops might scare the kid, so he walked. It had been a very long time since he had done that. The only time he had ever walked the streets without his Anbu mask on was late at night when there wasn't many people around. There were too many people pressed in around him, looking at him, wanting to talk to him, maybe wanting to. His heart began to beat fast. He felt sweat beginning to trickle down. Naruto, pressed up his chest, must have sensed this fear, because he began to squirm around, whine anxiously. Kakashi peeked open the jacket, hugged him to his body tightly, and whispered, "Shh, it's okay. We're both okay. We both just need to breathe." Taking his own advice, he breathed deep several times and willed himself to calm down. He felt like everyone was watching him, like an exhibit in a zoo. Man, I wish I didn't have to look at all these people too. Too bad I don't have a book to read or something. Anything so that I don't have to look at their faces, he thought to himself. He opened the jacket open again and met Naruto's curious eyes. "Hey pup, you wanna fly like a ninja does?" Please say yes, please say yes, please say yes, he thought. Talking about overcoming his fears was one thing, but actually doing it so suddenly was another. "Fly up?" Naruto grinned up at the masked man and allowed the jacket to uncover his face. He pointed at the tall building next to them. "Up!" he shouted. "Okay, don't be scared. I won't drop you." He smiled in relief, gripped the boy firmly, and ran up the nearest building. Soon he was racing across the rooftops. Naruto actually stuck his head and arms completely out of the coat, enjoying it thoroughly. There were other nin traveling that way, but none had bothered them. Soon they arrived at the Hokage Tower. Kakashi landed outside the office window and peered in. Sartori waved him in. "You're late." Well, you see, I had a few issues I had to sort through this morning." Speaking of issues, I had an interesting visit with the head matron from the orphanage this morning. Saratobi lit his pipe and continued. It would seem that one of her charges was kidnapped by a certain one-eyed shinobi with silver hair. That is a very interesting. But I'll have you know, I have two eyes, said Kakashi in an attempt at levity. At the Hokage's lowered gaze, he straightened up. I didn't kidnap him, per se. I rescued him. He has been treated horribly, and she was about to hurt him again. Just then, the bundle in his arm moved, and Naruto poked his head out of the jacket and looked up at the copy nin. Fly again, he asked with a pleading expression. Kakashi gave his famous eye-crinkle smile and said lowly, Yeah, pup, we'll fly again. Let me talk to the Okage for now, okay? Sarutobi, who had been watching their interaction intensely, was very pleased. He knew that the shinobi was slowly losing his humanity. He had suffered too many losses from such a young age, and spent too many years in the Anbu Black Ops. Naruto needed someone to care for him, and Kakashi did as well. This could work out very well, but that didn't mean he would make it easy for him. So, what are your intentions? I'm gonna take care of him from now on. It wasn't a question. What about your position with the Anbu? You cannot do both. Also, your apartment is too small for the two of you. I resign effective immediately. I've had enough money to stop working for a while. When the time is right, we're both ready. Then I'll move into my family house. For now, my apartment is fine for us. He was in slow, a drag in his pipe, and exhaled slowly, the smoke encircling his head for a moment before dispersing. Are you sure you can do this, Kakashi? He's been through a lot in his short life and has been hurt many times. The villagers hate him, no matter what his father wanted for him. I'm afraid if things continue, he'll learn to hate Konohagakure. Can you give him the will of fire, Kakashi? Can you teach him to be a shinobi who will love, trust, and revere and fight for the village's sake? You cannot keep him for a couple of months then just quit on him. If you agree to do all of this, I want you to adopt him. Also, I know that you're such a loner. The boy will need to be able to go outside and make friends. He needs to become a true part of the village. Will you love him? For one brief moment, he froze in panic, his thoughts racing. Am I really willing to do this? It's so permanent. Can I truly help him, or will I do more harm? How can I help him overcome his fears when I have so much of my own? An image of Minato popped into his head, helping him get over his father's suicide, teaching him about the will of fire, and sacrificing himself for the sake of the village. Yes, for that man, I will do anything. To do any less would be an abomination to his name. I'll take care of him, sir. He will get everything he needs from me. I won't quit on him. I owe it to my sensei. I'll protect him. I won't fail, sir. The 10th is fast approaching. Naruto usually winds up in the hospital on the day from some sort of accident or another. Some drunken villager almost killed him on his first birthday. It was just as bad the last year. I was going to have the Anbu guard him this year. He looked at Kakashi expectantly. I'll protect him, sir. Well, Sarutobi grumbled. I'll check up on you two from time to time. Come back tomorrow for the paperwork. Oh, and last thing. Don't be afraid to ask for help. You have friends out there that would do anything for you if you would just listen to them. Trust in them. Understood, sir. Kakashi bowed his head at the Hokage, then shunshined out of the building. He stood on the roof. He removed the jacket from Naruto's body and held them up by his underarms so that they were face to face. With a very solemn expression, he said, "It's just you and me now. It looks like I'm adopting you, I guess. I know I'm probably not the best choice for you, but I promise you now, Naruto, that I'll teach you how to be a good man like your father and mother would have done. I can never truly repay them, but I can try and carry on for them. Guess you can call me..." I'm not saying that. Father, now. What do you think about that, pup? Can you say... Father. Naruto said half the word, okay? At Kakashi's nod, the little chibi lit up with pride at doing something right. Just as quickly, a questioning look crossed his face, he asked, "Fly again?" He chuckled. "Oh yes, pup, we'll fly again." He put the boy on his shoulders, told him to hold on, and raced across the rooftops towards the market. Naruto twined his fingers through Kakashi's hair, gripped his neck in a chokehold with his skinny legs, and held on tight as they flew away. Seconds later, he laughed for the first time in his short, sad life. I hope you've all enjoyed this. If you have, remember to smash that like button, comment cue, or your favorite food. Let me know if the audio on this was too loud. I'm not sure. I know there was slight parts that the audio was a bit too loud, but I didn't want to. It's weird with the editing software. Just let me know if it was too loud, and I hope you all have a great day. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next part. Bye.